Oh, yeah. Is it Tuesday already? Okay. Daisy Ridley has given us yet another update on this Rey movie, and she's now teasing at multiple movies. A possible sequel trilogy? Now, we also got to talk about the Mandalorian and Grogu movie because we previously talked about how it's wrapped filming, but that's not the case either. What's real? What's a lie? What's going on? We got a lot to get into. So without further ado, let's dive into all of it. What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing on this fine Tuesday afternoon? What's up, chat? Okay, so yeah, who to believe, who not to believe. One day we hear that the Rey movie's lost its writer, everything's going downhill, it's going to be delayed, there's no way it can make it to its December 2026 release date. The next day we hear there's going to be multiple Rey movies now, and this first one is perfectly on schedule, blah-bitty-blue-bitty-blah. Then you hear one day that The Mandalorian and Grogu has wrapped filming. It's done. We are in post-production now. And now we hear that that's not the case, and filming will continue until December. So our job as Star Wars fans is to go through all of this, figure out what's real, figure out what's false, figure out who's lying to us, and who's telling the truth. And we will today, live. So without further ado, let's say hi to everybody in the chat, shall we? Okay, let's do that first. Ian, what's up? Brandon Baker in the house. Amanda, how we doing? Skywalker Academy, how we doing? John, what is up? Thomas, how we doing? Chris in the house. Starship 66, what's up? Star Wars Order, how we doing? B-Man, what is up? WVU grad, how we doing? Rachel, what is up? Dustin Kennedy in the house. The Force Dragon, what's up? TJ, how we doing? Mike, what is up? King Shadow Navarro, how we doing? You know the deal. If I missed you, just yell at me in the chat. Let's just give everybody a nice little
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
Okay, so let's start with the Rey movie news. The possibility of there being a sequel trilogy, this so-called new trilogy that we're talking, or new sequel trilogy that we're going to be talking about today. If you've watched any of my live streams, you know for a fact that I've said it a million times that I believe that all three of these movies that are on the release slate, from The Mandalorian and Grogu to the Rey's new Jedi Order movie to the Dawn of the Jedi movie that we have some news about too with James Mangold, all three of those movies, I believe, are beginnings of new trilogies. I think we're getting three new trilogies all at the same time, one after the other, intertwined. So like one releases this year, the first one of one releases this year, then the first one of the next one, then the first one of the next one, then the second one, then the second one, then the second one, then the third one, then the third one. Three separate trilogies all at the same time. But I've been saying that with no evidence to back it up until now. Until Daisy Ridley said the thing and confirmed all our suspicions. So let's start with what the hell Daisy Ridley said, because this comes from a few days ago, before the news of Damon Lindelof, before the news of Stephen Knight leaving the movie. Okay? Okay. Let's do this. Put this over there. I don't want that there. I want that there. That's better. Okay. Put this over there. Put that over there. Put this there. That there. Perfect. Much better. Okay. Let's read this, shall we? So this has come from The Hollywood Reporter, and it says, Daisy Ridley talks... Oh, my God. So a little bit of behind the scenes here, chat. I just got a new monitor. So I got two monitors, as always. You can see me looking left. You see me looking right all the time on streams, of course. But on the left, I have this nice new monitor that I've had for about a year now. On my right, it was always this crappy 15-year-old TV that didn't even have like HD. It was horrible. But this is the first stream ever where I got a brand new screen on my right. And it looks so unbelievably clear. It's crazy. But that's just like, okay. I got distracted, okay, chat? I got distracted. All right, calm down. Daisy Ridley talks producing Magpie, meeting herself at Disneyland, and why her Star Wars return is scary. So Magpie is the new movie that she's in that comes out fairly soon, I believe. And then she talks about meeting herself, Rey, that is, at Disneyland, and of course, the return to Star Wars. So, we're going to skip through this Magpie stuff, okay? This is just the movies that she's done in 2024. Whoa. Why did I do that? Sometimes I think about dying, Young Woman in the Sea, Magpie. Okay. So those are the movies that she's been doing this year. We want to get to the Star Wars stuff here. Blah, 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 blah. So first she talks about meeting herself at Disneyland. Yeah. So as for Star Wars, Ridley had a unique encounter this past June during her trip to Disneyland. She first rode The Rise of the Resistance and witnessed her own handiwork during Rey's holographic introduction at the attraction. Afterwards, she then came face to face with her costumed cast member who was playing her signature character of Rey, of course. It was really trippy when I finally met myself. The woman I met had studied me, and it was really strange, she recalled. Watching someone who has studied me to play me was meta. Facebook. Get it? Sorry. But she did an amazing job. She also didn't break character. I don't think I would ever get used to a thing like that. Yeah, me either. I've been to Disneyland. It's quite strange. All the people who work there, they do a fantastic job, but it's really weird. It is. It's really weird talking to them because they don't ever leave character. And the people in the First Order side of things, they're always mean to you, but that's their job to be mean to you. It's a whole thing. Okay, but let's get to the good stuff here. Okay. The interaction increased her anticipation for her own eventual return to the character in Charmin Obed-Chinoy's new Jedi Order movie, although as she admits, there's a touch of fear as well. In this new Jedi Order movie, this is not the official title. This is just a working title. We've talked about it. Yeah, okay. Although she admits, okay. After this conversation, news broke that the film had lost its screenwriter, Stephen Knight. So this is after this quote we're about to read is before this news broke of them losing Stephen Knight. Okay? So take this as you will. Before the news broke that Stephen Knight left the project. Now, Daisy Ridley probably knew by this time, but let's just say for our own sake here that she didn't. Okay? Okay. So she said this. I feel like the new one / new ones will be so interesting. Time has passed and a lot has changed for me personally. So it'll be interesting to come back to someone who I know so well, but in a different moment, Daisy Ridley says. For me, to inhabit Rey again after all this time that we haven't seen her, it's actually scary, but it's also exciting. So she, more than anybody, probably knows the troubles of bringing back a character years later. I mean, that's what the sequel trilogy did with so many legacy characters, Luke, Leia, Han, Lando, Chewie, all of them. So she, more than anybody else, knows the pressure of that, knows how to not succeed in doing that. Double negative. But her first line in this sentence is what we're focusing on today. As she says, I feel like the new one / new ones will be so interesting. Now, you could be saying, Mike, she's referring to the Mando movie and the Dawn of the Jedi. Nope! She's talking about the ones that she's in. A lot of time has passed for me personally, and going back to this character, blah, blah, blah. She's talking about multiple movies that she's come back to create. Now, it's not rocket science here, chat. This is really just simple, easy math, okay? Daisy Ridley's coming back to play Rey to start a new Jedi Order. You think they're really just going to make a one spin-off movie of the future of the galaxy? No, absolutely not. This new Jedi Order Rey movie is going to be the beginning of a trilogy. And now, more than ever, this seems to be the case. There is no world that we could possibly live in where we're just going to get a spin-off movie of Rey and it's just a one-off thing. It's not a solo movie. It's not Rogue One. This is the continuation of the Star Wars story, the continuation of the saga post Skywalker saga, possibly the beginning of a new saga, but it's the look into the future. And Daisy Ridley all but confirms it here herself by saying, I feel like the new ones will be so interesting. Now, with that being said, this was before the news that Stephen Knight has left the project. That doesn't really change anything here. a trilogy is a trilogy. If it's pitched to be a trilogy, then it is supposed to be a trilogy. Now, there's a few things going on in the back end with what happened with Stephen Knight. There's rumors going around that he turned in 4 different versions of a script and they denied them all, saying that they weren't good enough. Now, that's a possibility, but it also could be that he was a busy man doing other things. The Peaky Blinders movie, he's got a movie coming out right now with whatever his name is. He's a busy guy, we'll put it that way. So that could have been one thing. He also could have definitely turned in 4 drafts and they said no to them. Here's the deal. Disney has learned their lesson and they learned it well with the sequel trilogy. There was no plan. Now, George Lucas went into the original trilogy with no plan, but that's a little bit different. A little bit different, because things turned out a lot different. The sequel trilogy did not have a plan, and fans crapped all over it the whole way through. So Disney saw that and said, we got to fix this. And what have they done with The Mandalorian? They've created a plan. What did they do with the High Republic? They created a plan. So you're going to sit here and tell me that they're not going to create a plan for this Rey trilogy if it truly is going to be a new sequel trilogy? You're out of your goddamn mind. Right now, what's going on is Stephen Knight did not want to sign on for a trilogy. Here's my speculation. I should say this is my speculation. Take this with a massive grain of salt. He didn't want to sign on for a trilogy. So they said, okay, bye. He's turned in 4 separate scripts and they said no. I think they want to get this right. They know they have to get this right. They have a very divisive character with Rey and a very divisive time period with a post-sequel world that they need to get right. And if they're going to do a trilogy, it needs to be planned out from the beginning. So I think they're going to take their time with this. Whether or not it's going to be delayed, it's still early to tell. But they're going to have at least concept of a full 3-episode arc before they start filming, before they do anything. Because this is not just going to be a one spin-off movie with Rey coming back just for a one last hurrah. This will be an entire trilogy. And it will hopefully be planned out from the very beginning. Now, I have a few other articles to get to here, so we can still decipher through what's right and what's wrong. But with that being said, with Daisy Ridley confirming that there are more than one of these upcoming movies, what do you think? Do you want a sequel trilogy? Do you want to see the Rey character and the characters around her, possibly Finn, possibly Poe, possibly Grogu, possibly Ezra Bridger, Ahsoka, who knows? Do you want to see a trilogy about those characters? Because we don't know who the threat would be, whether it's the Vong or Abeloth or a new Sith or Palpatine returning again. We don't know. But with this information, all that we have, do you want a sequel trilogy? Let's put up a poll in the chat, shall we? And if you haven't smashed a freaking like on the stream, I don't know what the hell you're waiting for. Smash a freaking like on this stream. Okay. Do a poll. I'm on it. Do you want a sequel trilogy? Yes or no? Yes or no? Now, here's the deal. I believe that the sequel trilogy would be what almost everybody wanted with Luke Skywalker, just with Rey. Now, that might be a turnoff for many of you because you enjoy the character of Luke more than Rey, but that's okay. I think this is going to be Rey creating a Jedi Order and the struggles that come with that. It will be more like the prequel trilogy than ever like the originals or the sequels. And hopefully it involves the characters, like I mentioned before, of Grogu, who can be can live for the next 800 years and be a major part in the upcoming Jedi Order. He should be, especially because you got to think Din Djarin's not going to be alive by this time. You're talking about, what, 40 years past The Mandalorian Season 3? 40 years later, how old is Din Djarin in The Mandalorian? Somebody in the chat help me out. How old is Din Djarin in The Mandalorian Season 3? Let's just be generous and say he's 30, because he's probably not. He's probably way closer to 40 if I were to guess. Let's say he's 30. An extra 40 years, that is 70. Now, yes, a human in Star Wars, in the real world, can live up to 70 years old. But I still think Din Djarin's going to die in his own trilogy, be a big part of Grogu's story moving forward. his death will be a massive one. Could lead him down either a dark path or a more light path with the Jedi. But I don't think Din Djarin's going to live for the next 40 years. He's 39 in season 3. Okay. Let's say that's true. He's 39. That makes him 79 by the time of the Rey movie. I don't see him living that long, especially in his profession. Especially because he likes to join a lot of battles. Yeah. I don't see it happening. Let's see, chat. What do we think? Yes or no? Oh my God, it's literally 50-50 right now in the poll. 50-50. We had almost 30 votes in right now. We'll leave this poll up for a little bit, but 50-50. Kit Fisto, what's up? Yeah, there's no way Din Djarin's living to this Rey movie. You think Din Djarin's going to live to 80 years old? You're dreaming. You're dreaming. All right, let's see what you guys think. Let's see what you guys think. A sequel trilogy? Yes. Star Wars likes trilogies. Yeah, I mean, it's not going to work. Okay. Rogue One is the only exception, okay? I think Solo's a solid movie, but many people didn't think that was the case either. But Rogue One is the exception. It is an incredible movie. It's a standalone movie. You could say it's just sort of a prequel to the original trilogy, because it is. But it's an incredible standalone spin-off movie. And I believe that they could do that again. But with characters like Rey, Finn, possibly Grogu, possibly Ezra, possibly Ahsoka, like big-time characters like that, you're not going to want to just make a one-off movie. It's going to be a continuous story in a trilogy. Rogue One, all the main characters die. Spoiler alert, they all die. That's why the Andor show is a prequel to that movie, because Cassian dies, Jyn Erso dies, K2SO dies. They all die. That's why it's a one-off movie. Trent, what's up? With the Rey movie, that's not going to happen. It's going to be a continuous story and hopefully be a trilogy. Kay says, everyone thinks Stephen Knight leaving the movie is a bad omen, but I prefer to consider it as they really want to get this right. Yeah, pretty much. They want to do the best that they can do. And if Stephen Knight's not that guy, then he's not that guy. Especially if he's busy. If you want to have some incredible writer come on board that's going to stay with you through an entire trilogy, so it's one cohesive story, unlike what we saw with the sequel trilogy, then you want that writer. You want to find that writer who's going to do that. Not only be a great writer, but also stick with you for 3 whole movies. Just to have that cohesive time. You can have different directors. I mean, even that's debatable. Maybe you want to have the same director, but you can have different directors. Having the same writer is huge. Alex, what's up? 80K, how we doing? The Force Dragon says, I hope at the end, we see what the Jedi and the grown-up Grogu look in about 500 years in the future. There's some fans that do want that. Just a giant time jump from the sequel trilogy. You don't even have to talk about those characters. You just go with Grogu years and years later, and then you sort of explain what happened before that in flashbacks or whatever you want to do, I guess. That's a way around it, but I would rather just see Grogu from now until he dies. Give Grogu like 30 trilogies. Just give him everything. Just give him it all. Yeah. Ian says, but the difference is George Lucas had an overarching story before he made the first film. Yes and no. I mean, the story of Star Wars, yes, he created as 12 episodes. That changed drastically from when he made the first movie. Like, all over the place, it changed drastically. Vader was not intended to be Luke's father right away. And he only knew he could make one movie, so he just made A New Hope with a definitive ending. I mean, there's a celebration at the end of that movie. But yeah, there was some sort of overarching story of sorts, yeah. When we get our Thrawn trilogy, it will begin the healing. However, a post-sequel trilogy cannot miss, or else we are cooked. That's true. So a Mando trilogy is going to be cool, and I hope we get it, and I hope it's really, really good. But nothing is really riding on that trilogy. Yes, it should be good. It's Star Wars. It should be great. It's Din Djarin. It's Grogu. It's Thrawn. It's Ahsoka. That should be good. You could involve Luke, Leia, Han. It could be incredible. But not much is riding on it. With this Rey movie and a possible sequel trilogy, a lot is riding on it. Not just for the sequel characters, but for the future of Star Wars. That Mando trilogy is stuck in between two trilogies. It's before the sequels. It's after the originals. It has a confined time period to work in. The Rey movie is setting up the future of the Star Wars timeline forever. It's what kicks us off into the post-Skywalker saga time period. It has so much riding on it, unlike the Mando trilogy. Yeah. Christoph says, I don't even know if I can like the already existing sequels. Here's the deal with that, too. There's a possibility. Now, it's obviously different for each fan, individual fan. And of course, their preferences, whether you like the sequel trilogy or you don't, or whatever, whether you like the character of Rey or you don't. There's a possibility that this sequel trilogy could make the sequel trilogy better. Jay, what's up? It's not impossible at all. When you look at the prequel trilogy, and some fans love it or some fans don't, when you look at the prequel trilogy, the 7 seasons of the Clone Wars are what make it as great as it can be. And you could also argue that the 3 seasons of the Bad Batch also make it good. You could also argue what comes after it with the Kenobi show and even Star Wars Rebels and the original trilogy make it better. As somebody just said in all caps, sequels are unfixable. I'd have to make the argument there. You're talking about your own specific, maybe in your own mind, you think that the sequels are not fixable. That's perfectly fine. I'm sure some people don't like the prequel trilogy, and even watching 7 seasons of the Clone Wars is not going to change their mind. But when I look at the sequel trilogy, I see its flaws. I definitely do. Some people think it's incredible, and that's perfectly fine. Good on them. But to me, I think Luke Skywalker's fall was too quick, his seclusion on Ahch-To was too quick, too not explained at all. In Palpatine's return, again, not explained at all. However, if you were to make a 7-season animated show or 4-season animated show of Luke Skywalker's Jedi Temple, seeing Ben Solo's fall to the dark side, seeing Snoke lure him to the dark side, the First Order rise to power, maybe Luke even marries Mara Jade and she dies due to Snoke or Kylo Ren or Palpatine or whomever, and then let's go even crazier. Let's say Luke Skywalker's blood is being taken by the First Order to create Snoke, or to create a Force-sensitive clone version of Luke Skywalker named Luke Skywalker, just like the Legends books tell it as well. Then he would go into hiding. He would go into hiding so that nobody can take his blood, nobody can use his power against him and against the galaxy. And it would make sense. Also, if he lost his wife, Mara Jade, that would also make sense. And seeing how he loses Ben Solo would mean so much more. It's like watching the original trilogy, hearing that Anakin Skywalker fell to the dark side, but not seeing how he did it or why he did it. It's like watching The Phantom Menace, seeing the young boy as Anakin Skywalker, and then watching A New Hope and seeing him as Vader and going, what the hell happened to that kid? Where did we go wrong? And just never telling the story in between. So we get Luke in the original trilogy. He's this nice farm boy. He's the hero. And then in the sequel trilogy, he's not. And we just don't have the story in between. You tell the story in between, it can't hurt, and it might just help. And then there's the whole Palpatine of it all. Somehow Palpatine Returns needs to be explained a whole lot better. Yeah. But let's say afterwards, let's say you go to this Rey sequel trilogy. If you make the character of Rey a million times better just by the writing of her character in a sequel trilogy, then you just look at the original sequel trilogy as her origin story. She leaves Jakku, becomes the hero, finds out that she was Palpatine's granddaughter, kills Palpatine, and now her adventure starts. And now she goes and does these crazy things across the galaxy, trains the next Jedi Order. Like, there's ways around this. Finn, he's a stormtrooper. Now he could be a stormtrooper turned Jedi in a sequel trilogy. there's ways to fix these characters, or at least make them better, without even touching the sequel trilogy. So it's all up to people's own perspectives and own opinions on the sequel trilogy, on the characters of Rey, Finn, Poe, Kylo Ren, all that stuff. And obviously, some people's minds just won't be able to be changed. That's clear. But for that portion of the fandom that is open to change, is open to seeing what the story can bring, then why not do it? Why not? I'm one of the people who, I'm not the biggest fan of the sequel trilogy. I like The Force Awakens. I'm not a fan. Really, I can watch The Last Jedi. I can watch The Rise of Skywalker. I'm not the biggest fan. However, I know if they tell this story right before and after this sequel trilogy and this Luke Skywalker Jedi Order with Kylo Ren's fall, I will be a fan of the sequel trilogy. I can already tell. If what goes on in my head happens on the screen, it can work. But that's just me. Again, that's just me. And you might be different. Okay. Where was I? Andy K says, I like Rey. Some of you won't like this, but Luke was always kind of whiny to me. Rey didn't whine. She sucked it up and jumped in. Well, I like the fact that Luke's a whiny little baby in A New Hope. It's the same thing with Ahsoka Tano in Clone Wars Season 1. It's the same thing with Omega in The Bad Batch Season 1. It's a very unique and cool character arc. Going from the whiny little baby to the hero. It's sort of, actually, Anakin as well. It's a Skywalker trait almost. You could argue Omega is definitely not a Skywalker, but you could argue that Ahsoka Tano is a little bit. So it's a Skywalker trait. You start off as Uncle Owen! Uncle Owen! This joint has a back. To literally the Jedi Knight who saves the galaxy. Then you got Anakin, who's all doom and gloom and Attack of the Clones and all this whiny little bit. And then he becomes a Jedi Knight. Never got that master, but he becomes a Jedi Knight in the Clone Wars, and he becomes this stoic hero. It's the same thing with Ahsoka. You look at Ahsoka in live action now, and you look at her in the Clone Wars Season 1, it's night and day. You got to give a character some time to develop. Yeah, no? Yeah, no? I hope we see the World Between Worlds Anakin in the Rey movie. I don't think so. I'd love to, but I don't think so. Yeah. Yeah, when you think about 15 years, think about your life right now. However old you are, from being 10, which 15 years ago you wouldn't even be alive, to being 75. 15 years ago, you'd be 60. Think about 15 years ago. I would have been, quick maths, carry the 10, 6 over the 4, 7. I would have been 7 15 years ago. I think a lot has changed since I was 7 years old. So 15 years in between the sequel trilogy and this Rey new Jedi Order movie is going to be a long time. A lot can happen in 15 years. A lot. John Groom says, great content providing proper context to the sequel trilogy can make them better. Let me repeat that because I couldn't say it better myself. Proper content providing, sorry, I didn't even say it correctly. Great content providing proper context to the sequel trilogy will only make them better. Could not say it better myself. Literally. That's exactly the case. I mean, it can't make it worse. It can't make it worse. There you go. But he actually goes on to say, maybe not for those already scared, but future fans watching for the first time will see things differently. That's true. When you think about it, in maybe 5 years from now, a kid who's just getting introduced to Star Wars is going to have so much content to watch, but it's all going to be very filled in. The gap between the prequels and the original trilogy is very filled in. The gap between the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy is being filled in right now. And in 5 years, it might be way more filled in than ever. And then we'll have some post-sequel trilogy content as well. Yeah. And don't even get me started on Dawn of the Jedi, because we'll get to it. We'll get to it. You're 22? Yes, I'm 22. How old did you think I was, chat? Huh? Don't say 100, okay? I'm Palpatine. I'm 160 years old. Okay. Yeah. Vader recovered the hand that he chopped off from Luke Skywalker in Empire, used it to help create Palpatine's new body, as well as Snoke's. Well, we do know that the Empire does have Luke's hand, and it's on Exegol. That's in a canon Star Wars comic. So Palpatine does have Luke Skywalker's severed hand on Exegol. Like, that's canon information. So take that how you will. They might be going down the route of trying to clone Luke Skywalker, or at least Luke's hand is what brought Palpatine back. And let's just say that's the case. Luke's hand brought Palpatine back, or at least played a part in it, or even a part in creating Snoke. Luke finds out that information. As a logical human being, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I'm going to go into hiding where nobody can find me. So they can't take my other hand or my foot or my leg or my head and use that to create an army of Force-sensitive clones just as powerful as Snoke. If there's a showdown between Luke Skywalker and Snoke, and Luke Skywalker barely survives and then finds out that his blood was used to create that being that he just lost to, you think he's not going to go into hiding to not just make matters worse? God! Lucasfilm, if you're watching, please do that. Please. It would make so much sense as to why Luke goes into hiding, as opposed to just because he saw his nephew had a bad dream. Eric says, that's the point, though. People believe that the sequels were about a stormtrooper who became a Jedi, but they threw that character away with the plot. Remember all the teasers featuring him? Yeah. I mean, The Force Awakens, in the trailer, you get the scene of him igniting the lightsaber, so you believe that Finn is going to become the Jedi, and that's not the case. Absolutely. Whining runs in the family? Indeed it does. It shows their growth. Yeah, absolutely. It's called the character arc. Like, characters just can't stay put for their whole existence. And I'm sure Luke had 20 plus years of being that stoic hero that we know him to be and want him to be. But times change, things change, people change. And I think that's just not what people wanted to hear or see when they got to see the Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi. People wanted to see the stoic hero that they knew and loved from Return of the Jedi. And yes, Luke was that stoic hero for the next 20, 30-ish years, but at some point he lost his way. And that's not a bad thing, but we still want to see those 30 years in between. We need to see those 30 years in between. You know? It's okay if he lost his way, became an old hermit on Arc 2 if there's a good reason for it. But we still want to see those years in between. The sequel trilogy became a mess and failed as it went nine. I don't know what that means. They won't do it because the odds of financial failure are too high. Talking about it is moot since the Rey movie is already a mess as of today. Well, the Rey movie's not a mess. That's the idea. That's what we're going to talk about. Let's get to the next article here and we'll explain why it's not a mess, because it doesn't have a set release date. Now, the untitled Star Wars movie in December of 2026 is supposed to be the Rey movie, but that's just because we dubbed it to be. And I still think it might come out on that date, but let's talk about this, shall we? Okay. So this comes from yesterday, and this comes from Movie Web, so we'll see about this. But I have one more article after this, too, if this one's not good enough, so we'll see. Okay, let's read this, shall we? Daisy Ridley addresses disappointing Star Wars Rey movie update, okay? Daisy Ridley is assuring fans not to worry about her upcoming Star Wars movie following news of the writer's departure. Lucasfilm has many different Star Wars movies in development, with one of them following Ridley's character 15 years after the events of The Rise of Skywalker. The untitled film will be directed by Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy and was set to be written by Stephen Knight, but he recently dropped out of the film, causing some fans to be concerned. that this would be one of many announced Star Wars movies that would never materialize. Now, there's a difference between this Rey movie and something like Kevin Feige's Star Wars movie. This Rey movie is way further along and has actually a concept, an idea for the film itself. But on the recent episode of the Playlists Discourse podcast, while promoting her latest film, Magpie, I've read this title, Magpie, 1,000 times now. I have no idea what this movie is about. Just being completely honest. But let's keep going. Okay. Daisy Ridley offered a little insight into the film's creative process for this Rey movie. She debunked one claim up front, as reports of Stephen Knight leaving the project meant that Daisy Ridley's focused Star Wars movie would not make its rumored December 2026 release date. And she said this: "We don't have a date." Plain and simple. This is true, as neither Lucasfilm nor Disney ever set an official date for this film's release. As for losing the writer, Daisy Ridley points out that it is just a part of movie making, as multiple writers tend to come and go as on projects. She said this: "I think the creative process is one that is really a journey." Now, I think maybe not this article specifically, but we read something similar to this last stream. So what she's saying there is, obviously, and this happens all the time in Hollywood, you lose writers. One of the most famous sort of writers comes in and saves the day, especially in Star Wars, is Rogue One. We talk about Tony Gilroy being the GOAT who brought us Andor Season 1, and hopefully Andor Season 2 is just as good. But he's the guy who came in, saved the day on Rogue One, and made it the incredible movie that we know and love. But that was last minute. That was a writer coming on board right before the end of the race and saving the day. It's not a good system over there in Hollywood, but sometimes it works. Unfortunately, Stephen Knight isn't the first writer to have worked on this Rey-led Star Wars movie. Damon Lindelof and Justin Britt Gibson were originally attached to write the film before departing in March of 2023. At the time, it was unknown that the movie would center around Rey and take place after The Rise of Skywalker, but rumors suggested that Damon Lindelof and Britt Gibson pitch would have taken place much further into the Star Wars timeline and would have Helen Mirren play Rey. And actually, Daisy Ridley has talked about this too, where she said, "Helen Mirren, me? That would be awesome." So, yeah, we'll see. Okay. Those reports were never officially confirmed either way, and by the writers or anyone else involved at Lucasfilm. But Damon Lindelof noted that he was asked to leave the project. Meanwhile, Stephen Knight submitted 4 drafts before departing the Rey movie. Again, this is not confirmed either way, but if this is the truth, if he really did turn in 4 separate drafts for this Rey movie, and they said no to all of them, first of all, and they were like, yeah, we're going to go different ways, I think they're looking for something very specific with this Rey movie. I don't know what it is, and hopefully it's the fact that it's going to continue on to be a trilogy, but Stephen Knight was not the answer. He was not the guy to do it. And let's be honest, he has no Star Wars writing experience. As much as I love the guy for creating Peaky Blinders, which is one of my favorite shows of all time, why not try somebody who's already got Star Wars experience? We talked about this last stream. Tony Gilroy is finishing up Andor Season 2 right now. He's the perfect option. You have other people who have already worked on Star Wars projects to do something like that. Mr. Willie Mon is already working on Dawn of the Jedi. We'll talk about Dawn of the Jedi in a little bit, but he would have been a great option too. All right. Is it still on track for release? This is the big question. Disney and Lucasfilm currently have 2 untitled release dates saved for Star Wars films: December 18th, 2026 and December 17th, 2027, back to back. The assumption was that the Rey movie would take the 2026 slot because it was further along in development than James Mangold's first Jedi movie, Dawn of the Jedi, or Dave Filoni's Mando crossover movie. Yet, the idea that the Rey movie being released on December 18th was all just speculation. Sorry. However, if it was indeed delayed, it would give them time to hire a new writer, rework the script, and begin production. Even if it arrives in theaters late in 2027, it certainly would be better for Lucasfilm to take their time than rush out a Star Wars movie to meet a release date. as that is one of the factors that doomed The Rise of Skywalker. I think everybody in the chat right now would agree with me when I say make the project good. We don't care when it comes out as long as it is good. We've seen delays in the past for Star Wars projects all the time, actually. Do you remember, because of the pandy, we had an insane amount of delays, pretty much from after The Mandalorian Season 1, because that was on track, because 2020 hit and it was just like everything went crazy. 2020 hits and almost everything was delayed. We don't care as long as the project is really, really good. Ahsoka, it was never given a specific release date, but we thought it was coming a long time before it was actually released last year. Andor Season 2 has been delayed crazily. Skeleton Crew was supposed to come out last year. We were supposed to have already watched it. Acolyte was also delayed too. There's delays all over the place. But it's not always a bad thing. We put such a negative connotation to the word delay, when sometimes it's necessary to make something great, like Ahsoka, hopefully like Skeleton Crew, like Andor. And we'll see if that's the case here. But I think you would all agree with me when I say, take your time. Make it great. You don't need to rush this. Absolutely do not need to rush this. Perfect example. As Eric says in the chat, George R.R. Martin would disagree with my assessment of audiences' patience. I don't disagree that audiences aren't patient. I'm more so saying, don't rush something and make it bad. I think George R.R. Martin would definitely agree with me when I say that, because look at the end of Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is one of the greatest shows of all time. But the ending, it's not stuck. Get it? Stick the landing. They did not stick that landing. And here's why. All the previous seasons were already written by George R.R. Martin. They were just rewriting the books for the most part. Season 8 comes around. He's not finished. They didn't give the guy time to finish. Now, in the defense of the producers, George R.R. Martin is still not finished with the final story of the Game of Thrones. So that we would be spending a lot of time waiting for that 8th season. But take your time and make a great story. If the Rey movie is truly going to be the beginning of a new sequel trilogy, then we want it to be a cohesive, thought-out story where they take their time to create it. Not just a rushed-out, nonsensical, jump-around story like we got with the sequel trilogy. And it seems to be what they're doing. At least from an outside perspective looking in, that seems to be what they're doing. At least as far as we're aware. Okay. But let's see what you guys have to say about it. Let's see what you guys have to say. I'll just scroll down to the bottom. Are you kidding me? Mike looks like he's 30 despite him being 22. I don't know if that's a compliment or a diss, but I'll take it. Yeah. You might have misunderstood. Dave fixed the prequel trilogy accidentally and asked George for help, and he gave it. George was the guide to repair. George won't fix any Rey story. He hates it. Well, George is not coming back. Here's the deal. George has been on the set for a lot of the Mando stuff, but he hasn't really been like hands-on stuff, you know? He's not going to come back and try and fix these stories. But you do have a guy by the name of Dave Filoni who's going to come in and do all the hard work, connecting all the stories together, making sure they're on the right path, all that stuff. So the fact that they've denied 4 scripts for this Rey movie leads me to believe that Dave Filoni's involved in that at some sort of level. He is the chief creative officer. Everything creative at Lucasfilm now goes through this guy. So I'm hoping that that's on his end, because he is the GOAT. Luke at that point would have realized that he was way stronger than Palpatine. He would have decimated Palpatine. Well, here's the deal. That's just not the truth. If Luke loses to Snoke, and Snoke is created by the blood of or the midichlorians of Luke's severed hand, then how would he know, first of all, where Palpatine is? And second of all, why would he think he could defeat him? In this book, I haven't brought it out in a while, chat. I used to bring this book out almost every stream. In this book, Shadow of the Sith, great read. Definitely recommend. In this book, it's a lot older of a Luke Skywalker, Lando Calrissian looking for his daughter. But Luke, in this, there's a scene where he goes to Tantus. No, sorry, not Mount Tantus. He goes to Tython. And goes and sits on the Seeing Stone, where Grogu sat in The Mandalorian Season 2. And when Luke sits on the Seeing Stone, he gets transported to the Sith world of Exegol. Now, he doesn't know where he is, but he knows it's clearly a dark place. He gets to Exegol, and he gets surrounded by these spirits, for lack of a better word. They're these Sith cultists, almost. They all have red lightsabers, and they're all trying to kill him. And actually, he gets saved by Anakin Skywalker's blue lightsaber, and that's when he first interacts with his father, since he died in Return of the Jedi. But he is aware that there's something dark going on somewhere in the galaxy. He just doesn't know where it is. So if he were to lose to Snoke, find out that Snoke was created by his blood, his midichlorians, how's he going to stop that? Especially when he's got a full-ass First Order army coming, too. Yeah. To me, Mike looks more in his late 20s. I'd say like 28, 29. Okay, I don't know if these are compliments or you guys are just stabbing me in the back chat. What's going on here? I'm young. I'm still young. Right? Yeah. Darth Finn? Ooh, Darth Finn would be crazy. That'd be wild. Are y'all saying that Mike needs a better skin regimen? Yeah, what's going on? Am I getting wrinkles or something, chat? That's it. I'm getting a Bowflex. The Force Dragon says, I didn't mean skip the sequel trilogy. I just meant at the end of the sequel trilogy, you have a sequel trilogy. Where you have a much older 500-year-old Grogu, and maybe we could see through the World Between Worlds Anakin again. I'm down for that. I'm absolutely down for that. Yeah. Okay. If they are worried about financial failures, then do it in animation. No, they would never do that. Here's the thing. Animation doesn't make them any money. Talk about financial failures. Yes, The Bad Batch is incredible. Yes, Clone Wars is incredible. Clone Wars is really the reason that George Lucas sold the company. Well, there's a few reasons, but the Clone Wars was one of them. He was losing money to try and create the Clone Wars because he was paying all these animators, he was paying all of his Lucasfilm employees. He was losing money because making an animated show that's only viewed by people online, or at least on Disney Plus, doesn't make you much money at all, especially because the viewers are so much lower than a live action show. When you look at the normie fans in Star Wars, you start at the top. People who only watch Star Wars movies. That's it. Then you get to people who watch only the live action shows and the movies. Then you get to people who watch some of the animated stuff, people who watch all the animated stuff, people who read the books, people who read the comics, people who read everything. There's levels to it. But the majority of the Star Wars fandom, and the normie fans themselves, only watch the movies and the live action content. So the animated stuff does not get nearly the same amount of views as the live action stuff. So yes, I would argue that the animated stuff has some of the greatest storytelling in Star Wars. From Clone Wars to Rebels to Bad Batch and even Tales of the Jedi and Tales of the Empire. It's incredible. But not everybody watches it. You know? You know? The Skywalkers whine and the Palpatines just suck it up and do it. LOL. That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. Okay. The Rey movie can't be a mess. If it doesn't exist. Well, that's true. At least that's true. For those of you who really want this movie to be canceled, if it doesn't exist, can't be a mess. That's true. Old people get grumpy when the revolution seems lost. I wouldn't know. Dominic, what's up? New sequels? Well, we're hoping. Oh, we're hoping. Mike, preach. We need those 30 years of Luke being a god. I seriously I don't see the franchise moving forward until that happens. And until the healing that they do with the people, until that is the healing they will do with the people will be more open to the sequels. Oh, I get you. People will be more open to the sequels when they fill in that story gap. I agree with that. Luke Skywalker's 25, 30 years of being the guy in the galaxy, being the hero in the galaxy, being the leader of a new Jedi Order is what fans have been wanting to see since 1983. Now, we've gotten glimpses of it in The Mandalorian. Mando Season 2, he comes in, saves the day. Fans are bawling their eyes out because it's so incredible. That's what they've wanted to see for 40 years. Then you get more of it in Book of Boba Fett, where he's training Grogu. You get to see his Jedi Temple be created by ant droids that are being mind-controlled by R2-D2. Incredible. Awesome. More stuff like that. We need more stuff like that. More Luke, more Jedi Order, more Luke, Leia, Han. There's no way around it. Yeah. Daisy Ridley is such a sweetheart as a person, always so positive. That's the big thing, too. When you talk about having an actor or an actress who you want to get behind, she's one of them. So many fans crap on actresses and actors for their performances and stuff. I mean, you talk about Ahmed Best, Jake Lloyd, Kelly Marie Tran, John Boyega, even Daisy Ridley. They all get crap because certain fans don't like their characters. They don't like Jar Jar Binks. They don't like Finn. They don't like Rose. Whatever. They don't like Anakin. Hayden Christensen got a ton of shit. But with Daisy Ridley, she's like this generation's Hayden Christensen. She's so positive all the time. She's just, everything she says is the right thing. You know, she's not crapping on fans. She's not crapping on the franchise. She's never crapping on anybody. Everything she says is so positive all the time. She's the person that you want to get behind when you got a movie to make, you know? Anthony says, Mike, so 3 writers can't seem to crack the code, which means Kathleen Kennedy probably has her own idea for what the story is supposed to be, especially since Kathleen is overseeing this. Well, I mean, she oversees everything. She is the CEO of the company, but it's not just her. There's a reason that Dave Filoni got this promotion as well. He's in charge of this stuff too. So if Stephen Knight couldn't crack the code and give them what they wanted to see, then yes, they do have some idea in mind. And maybe at some point they'll get the right writer or they'll find somebody in-house to do that as well. Yeah. Yeah. John Mitchell, what's up, says, I think Luke has a significant role in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. I hope so. I mean, I don't know about significant, but he could play some sort of role. And if the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is the beginning of a Mando trilogy, which we are led to believe because Dave Filoni's already confirmed to be getting his own Mando movie, then Luke should play a role, pretty big role, throughout the entire trilogy. Maybe not so much in the first movie, but maybe more in the second and more in the third. Absolutely. Here's the deal. If Dawn of the Jedi is also the beginning of a new trilogy, which we'll get to in a little bit, then you're talking about 3 new Star Wars trilogies, all possibly being incredible, especially if the Rey movie pans out the way that we hope it could. Then you got a Mando trilogy, a trilogy that sends you into the future of the galaxy, and a Dawn of the Jedi movie, trilogy, which brings you all the way back to the origins of the Jedi, first lightsaber ever created, first Force users, all that stuff that will lead you into the Old Republic. Like, we could not be in a better spot as Star Wars fans if this truly is the start to 3 new trilogies. It would really just honestly be,
this is where the fun begins.
And I can't wait. I absolutely can't wait. Rise of Skywalker wasn't doomed. It made $1 billion. That's true, but when you have a sequel trilogy that makes less and less money through the trilogy, that's not always the best thing. Now, you could say, Mike, the other trilogies did the same thing, and that's absolutely true. But it did go down the whole time, and you don't want that to happen. By the way, we've moved our way to 60% of you guys say yes, you do, or 61%. You do want it. Oh, Darth Plagueis lives with a very generous $5 holla. God damn. Says 3 new trilogies would be insane. Which one would you want the most? Which one would I want the most? If I had to choose? Ugh, that's tough. All right. Let's talk. That's not a simple question, but I'll open it up to the chat. Chat, of those 3 trilogies I just mentioned, Dawn of the Jedi trilogy, Mando trilogy, and a sequel trilogy, which one would you want to see the most? They all have different qualities for why I would want them more than the others. The Rey movie, like I said, you can maybe even fix some of the sequel character stuff, but you can bring together these characters. Like Grogu can be involved in that movie and move forward. You could show the future of the galaxy, set up the future for something great. But I don't think that's gonna be my favorite. I think the Rey movie's not it. But now you're left between the Mando trilogy and the Dawn of the Jedi. On the one hand, the Mandoverse stories have been incredible. Some of my favorite Star Wars content ever. Mando Season 2 and Ahsoka, specifically, Season 1, are 2 of my favorite all-time seasons of anything. I love the character of Din. I love the character of Grogu. I love the character of Ahsoka. I'm a huge Rebels guy, so Hera, Zeb, Ezra, Sabine, Chopper. Maybe getting to see Luke, Leia, and Han again. The possibilities there are really, really cool. But then you look at the Dawn of the Jedi, and it's setting up the original Jedi, a possible new cast of Jedi, first ever lightsaber created, finding the Kyber crystal on Tython, creating the first Jedi temple, finding the first Force users across the galaxy, and it will lead us, hopefully, into the Old Republic. It's very interesting. But right now, I got to go with the Mandalorian trilogy. Just because of how close it is. The Mandalorian and Grogu is the first movie to come out. And how much we've already established that's incredible. From Ahsoka to Book of Boba Fett to Mando Season 1, 2, and 3. We already have so much established there. There's so much that could go wrong with a Rey movie or a Rey trilogy or a Dawn of the Jedi trilogy. So for those reasons, a Mando trilogy. But you guys, I see you guys want to do a poll. All right, we'll do a poll. We'll do a poll. And thank you, Darth Plagueis, for the very generous super chat. Super chats memberships keep the lights on over here, so I appreciate it quite a bit. And by the way, for those members out there and people who want to become a member, we have our giveaway on Thursday. Thursday's Halloween, but it's also the last stream of the month. So we will have a live stream, regularly scheduled live stream, that is. And we will be doing our giveaway. And let's just say we went down the route of Halloween this year. Star Wars, scary. We went with that. There's a big giveaway coming on Thursday. We'll put it with that, and you don't want to miss it. So become a member. All members have instant access to the giveaway. And yeah. So let's see. Which trilogy would you want to see the most? A Mando trilogy? Mando trilogy. Oh, I spelled trilogy wrong. Mando trilogy. Sequel trilogy. We're going to have to find a better name for that. Sequel trilogy. Or a Dawn of the Jedi trilogy. Boom. You tell me, chat. You tell me. Okay. Okay. Where was I? Sorry, I got distracted. Will there be a giveaway on Halloween? Yes, there will. Indeed, there will. All right, let's talk about this, shall we? Should we read this one? Yeah, okay, so this leads us into the Dawn of the Jedi news. So let's read this too. This comes from Star Wars News Net, and it's sort of our end cap on this Rey movie news and leads us into what's to come next, which is Dawn of the Jedi and the Mandalorian and Grogu, which we do have a big update on as well. So let's talk about this. Okay. Oh, well, you can't see that, can you? This week in the galaxy far, far away, the new Jedi Order movie loses writer and the director still attached. James Mangold, is James Mangold's movie coming up next before the Rey movie? Let's talk about it. Okay. Yes, Mike should dress up. I will be dressing up for Thursday's stream. I actually don't know what I'm going to dress up as. I got a few ideas going around. But tell me in the chat, who should I dress up? Obviously, I'm going to dress up as a Star Wars character, but who should I dress up as? Tell me in the chat. Okay, but let's read this. Of course, Skeleton Crew, if you guys saw, give me a 1 into the chat if you saw my video from yesterday about this writing. It's a pretty damn good theory. Shout out to UV Clips for coming up with it or helping me come up with it, or coming up with it and me, of course, expanding on it. Of course, gave him credit in the video. But it could be tying into Cal Kestis, could be tying into the Zepho, could be tying into a lot of things, honestly, and connects to Ahsoka, which is big. But that was huge. We talked about that last stream. So quote of the week is things are evolving. Very excited. Update will be soon. But let's get to the good stuff here. Okay. Indeed, the trades backed it up the next day, and everybody on the internet just cashed in on the bets regarding how long the latest writer would stay on the project. Though I haven't seen anyone claim this. Talking about Stephen Knight leaving the project. I'm convinced that Knight left the project months ago, probably sometime during the summer. I've been posting regular updates on the progress of the Peaky Blinders pre-production and in this column. And I do believe that once these started happening, Knight had already moved away from Lucasfilm's office. So they believe that when Peaky Blinders started pre-production earlier this summer is when he left. So they think that he left a long, long time ago, which would make sense. I mean, usually news like this, when it's bad news, trickles out slowly. And that's kind of what just happened here. Somebody caught a whiff of Stephen Knight left the project, but it happened probably months ago. So what Daisy Ridley is saying currently in the media is more updated information. Yeah. But the nature of the new Jedi Order movie has evolved a lot over time. Lucasfilm was really high on it after announcing it during Star Wars Celebration at 2023, and Kathleen Kennedy going on record saying that Stephen Knight would be delivering the first draft before June. The movie was announced as the next theatrical release, which at the time was December 2025. But the dual Hollywood strikes kicked in right before that happened, and Lucasfilm was back to the drawing boards. So the writer strike, actor strike that happened a few summers ago, of course, delayed this movie, delayed a lot of stuff as well. Yeah. These are the reports from the time about Kathleen Kennedy needing to get a movie out by December of 2025 if she wanted to keep her job. Give me a 1 to the chat if you remember this. We talked about this on live streams all the time. We talked about how Kathleen Kennedy might lose her job if the Rey movie doesn't release by December of 2025. Obviously, that's not happening, and Kathleen seems to still have her job, but that's because of course, the delays and stuff. Yeah. That combined with the overall need for Lucasfilm to actually score some points with the theatrical side may or may not have been the reason why The Mandalorian Season 4 morphed into the feature film. So, yeah, whether that's actually true or not, but they had to come back to the theaters with a bang and with a success, guaranteed successes. And that's what The Mandalorian and Grogu hopefully is, because The Mandalorian's their biggest thing on the platform. Yeah. But if there's one thing that has constantly worked for Lucasfilm since they launched into their streaming venture, it's been Jon Favreau. $125 million, 5-year overall deal. He signed back in 2019, following the instant success of The Mandalorian. 5 years later, Favreau is sticking around as co-writer, director, and executive producer for The Mandalorian and Grogu, which will hit theaters on May 22nd, 2026. The first time a movie has come out for Star Wars since December of 2019. Okay, let's get to the good stuff here. So what's next after that? That's the big question. What's after the Mandalorian and Grogu movie? Daniel Rickman posted on his Patreon page late last Sunday, that the Dawn of the Jedi movie would go into production next year, before the new Jedi Order movie. Interestingly enough, that information leaked to many other websites, but this from the same post didn't. Filoni is, according to Rickman, planning another Mando spin-off that would also start filming next year. As explains last Sunday, I do believe this is to be true, although I wouldn't invest too much energy getting excited about it just yet. This can't possibly be true. There's no way Dave Filoni's spin-off movie is going to start next year. He's starting Ahsoka Season 2 next year. Again, it's what to believe and what not to believe. We see stupid when we see stupid, chat, and this is stupid. Dave Filoni's going to start filming Ahsoka Season 2 next year. He's not going to be doing his own movie. Now, filming Ahsoka Season 2 will, of course, while writing that, is going to leverage or show what his movie is going to look like. It's going to help write that movie, but he still has to make Ahsoka Season 2 first. So that clearly can't be true. But in terms of the state of the Dawn of the Jedi movie, we are assured this week by sources that the movie is very much in development and that both James Mangold and Mr. Willimon are working on it, even if Mangold is more focused on his Bob Dylan biopic, a complete unknown at this time. By the way, chat, this movie comes out in December. So once that's out, he's full Star Wars the rest of the way. So it is very possible that this Dawn of the Jedi movie could be further ahead than the Rey movie. Let's keep reading. Once the movie rolls out in December, he'll shift his focus to Star Wars full time. Why don't I just keep reading the article? And though development is going well, no particular timeline has been set, the same source clarifies. So here's the deal. There is no timeline for the Rey movie. There is no timeline for the Dawn of the Jedi movie either. But us as fans have given the Rey movie the timeline of December 2026. It's probably not going to be too long until we give that same timeline to the Dawn of the Jedi. It's not. It makes sense, because if this movie truly is going to go in production next year, then it could come out before the Rey movie. Absolutely. Let's keep reading. Back to the new Jedi Order film. We were able to confirm that Charmin Obed-Chinoy is still on board to direct the movie, which is a bit of a surprise to me. Lucasfilm must be really optimistic about the project and what she can do with it to keep her around after two writer rotations and what may be a second creative overhaul for the story. The first one, which happened in early 2023, we talked about this already with Damon Lindelof, so we won't go too much into that. Yeah, so we talked about this too, the new ones, possibly being multiple ones. Okay, so on the horizon, we have two of the high-budget projects that are probably going to be midterm streaming numbers. And their only hope is that Jim Mangold, actually comes through for them. At least he is still on a good track record after steering the ship for Indiana Jones 5 in record time. Enlisting Mr. Willimon only raises the profile of the Dawn of the Jedi movie, as well as its chances that it will be expertly handled. So this is, I believe, Mr. Willimon right there, and of course James Mangold there. So what's up next? It depends on the nature of the update that Daisy Ridley is referring to. We may not hear it. We may not hear it before Star Wars Celebration. So we talked about this before. Daisy Ridley talking about how there will be a update for the Rey movie very, very soon. Now, what does soon mean? Could be Star Wars Celebration, which is in 5 months, or it could be next weekend, or not this coming weekend, but the following weekend, November 8th, 9th, and 10th, where we have D23 Brazil. Could absolutely be where it is. But with the cat out of the bag, Lucasfilm is in a more dire state than ever to try and spin this around, however possible. Remember, when news broke of Lindelof and Britt Gibson exiting, Stephen Knight's name was leaked to the media 24 hours later. But by then, he had already been hired. So they tried to cover up the bad news with the good news, which is Stephen Knight coming on next, you know? But here's the crazy part. This talks about trying to spin things in a more positive light, especially with the news. You don't want news to ever be negative about the company. So with Lucasfilm right now, they're trying to spin stuff in a more positive light. Having Daisy Ridley come out and reassure fans, no, everything's fine. Even with us losing Stephen Knight, there will be an update very soon. I can't spoil anything. I can't say anything, but I have read something, and there's something on the way, and there's something coming really, really soon. That's a good update. That's covering your own ass. But you know what else would change the media? Change the look at Star Wars Online? A Skeleton Crew trailer, okay? Okay, so this is week number 3, where I projected that we would be having a trailer by now. And guess what? It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday at 3:10 p.m., and there is no Skeleton Crew trailer. Okay? So if you want to have some good news, you want to control the narrative for about a week, you release an incredible Skeleton Crew trailer. Blow people's minds. Have us break down the trailer. It's all good news from there on out. You got how many days till Skeleton Crew, chat? 30 something, 30. How many days till Skeleton Crew? Somebody do the math. December 3rd. It releases on December 3rd. 30 something days. We need another trailer. We need another trailer. Yeah. Okay. But you guys tell me, what are our thoughts on this Rey movie? And Dawn of the Jedi. Do you think it will come out first? Here's the thing. Dawn of the Jedi is, I mean, it's got a lot riding on it. It's 35 days till Skeleton Crew. Okay, yeah, 35 days. That'd be awesome. I'll get to John Groom's comment in a second, but hang on. Okay, 35 days until Skeleton Crew. Okay, cool. 35 days and we haven't had our second trailer yet. What the hell's going on? I do believe that some point over the next couple weeks, and I've been saying this for decades now, over the next couple weeks, the marketing will begin. And we'll be getting, like The Acolyte, like Ahsoka, a trailer pretty much every day or every other day, TV spot, trailer, whatever you want to call it, a new trailer every single day leading up until the release. But that marketing hasn't begun yet, which is strange to me. We're 35 days out. But going back to the Dawn of the Jedi movie, if production and development is really that far along, if Mr. Willie Mon and James Mangold have been writing this whole time, they could begin filming next year and easily take that spot of December 2026. And then the Rey movie will have a whole extra year of writing and producing to get shit right. And then that can release in December of 2027. There's no reason that they need to push either of these projects out. However, if the Dawn of the Jedi movie is that far along, further along than we ever thought it could be, it's definitely possible that that movie could come out on December of 2026. Absolutely. Star Wars Resistance says, "Hey, Mike, I just wanted to thank you. You were an inspiration for starting a channel, and I really started to take seriously. Friday, October 25th, I had my first short hit 1 million views, so thank you." Holy shit, Star Wars Resistance. That's, first of all, awesome. And that's insane. Hang on, let me check out your channel. Let's give the Star Wars Resistance a nice subscribe. Love it. It says, "Hello there. This channel is for people who love Star Wars." That's so cool. 1 million views. That's so awesome. Congratulations. 1.3K subs. That's pretty damn good if I do say so myself. Congrats, man. This is so cool. There you go. There you go. Love it. Love it. Okay. Let's get back to the topic here. Where were we? Thanks for getting me so distracted. Star Wars Resistance. God! I haven't even watched your goddamn show. No, okay, I'm kidding. Jeez, guys, calm down. Okay. Where was I? Oh, by the way, Dawn of the Jedi trilogy is winning. In chat, it's not even close. Dawn of the Jedi trilogy, for which trilogy do you want most, has 51%. 37% say Mando trilogy, and 12% say the sequel trilogy. That's pretty damn wild. That is pretty damn wild. Are you kidding me? That's insane. That's insane. Okay. Let's okay, here's your either Leia in the gold bikini or Kymir's gun show. You see this? You see this physique? Neither one of those costumes would look good on me, chat. Come on, Ian. Dress up in the pre-Vader suit? In the pre-suit Vader? Oh, pre-suit Vader, like when he's burned alive? No. Mike should dress up as Neil. Oh, I would so do Neil if there was a costume out there for Neil. I'd have to like handcraft that in 2 days. I wouldn't be able to do that. No. I would not. Damn. Damn. Inklet, what's up? What is up? Okay. John Groom says, "What kind of tone do you want for the Dawn of do you want the Dawn of the Jedi to take? Prequels / originals, Acolyte, or Andor? I think the tone of the project is very important. It's very important. I actually think for Dawn of the Jedi, they should go down the route of more of a prequel-esque tone. Now, that's hard to do because you want to make it feel more like the first Jedi, and the prequels obviously are the Jedi almost at their peak, with tens of thousands of them around. Brady, what's up? I don't know. Honestly, the tone I want is Ahsoka. I want that feeling of when they just arrived on Peridia, and it feels like a barren, like there's a temple there, but it's like there was a war zone or whatever. Like I want it to feel like that. I want it to feel like when Din and Grogu first arrive on Tython. I want to have that feeling where there's like a Jedi in almost like an open area where there's eventually going to be a temple, and they start building a temple, but it's almost like just a field, and they're training together with maybe some sticks. Then they finally go into caves and find their kyber crystals. They make their first lightsabers. They're starting to use the Force. They're surprising themselves by how they can use the Force. They're shocking themselves by how powerful the Force is. Force choking each other by accident, like stuff like that. You know? Yeah. The original pitch for the Dawn of the Jedi was a biblical epic. Yeah, it was. That's true. That is true. I vote Bikini Leia. Okay. Maybe at 1 million subscribers, chat. Maybe at 1 million. I think Skeleton Crew will introduce us to Kujet. Well, Kujet was from centuries before, but they might give some explanation to Kujet. Maybe. Maybe they're on Ilum. No, they'll be on Tython. I mean, I certainly hope they'll be on Tython. The original story already exists. Obviously, the legend story is going to be different than the canon story, but Tython is the main original planet, you know? I don't think they'll change that. Because Tython's already been introduced in The Mandalorian Season 2 as well. Yeah, I know. I'm being a Jedi for Halloween. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Damn, that's a lot. That's a lot before Thursday. You have a lot of videos to post. What do you mean? What video? What'd you talk about? You might be Harry Potter for Halloween. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Okay, let's switch gears a little bit here to the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. We're talking Star Wars movies today a lot, chat. We went from the Rey movie to the Dawn of the Jedi movie. Now we're talking Mando and Grogu movie. Okay. So if you remember, last week, the news was the Mandalorian and Grogu movie has wrapped filming. Ahch-To is the first planet with the first Jedi Temple. Yes and no. The first Jedi Temple is on Ahch-To. The first Jedi were not. So Tython is still sort of where the Jedi are all taken all those years ago. But Ahch-To is where one of the first Jedi temples was created. Yes. Indeed. Wasn't Ahch-To the first? All right, before we get to this Mando news, let's fact check ourselves here. Was Ahch-To the first Jedi Temple. It's the site of the first Jedi Temple. Okay, let's see. It is Octu, the uncharted world located deep in the galaxy's unknown regions. Octu is the world where the Jedi Order was founded, and the sacred island was the site of the first Jedi Temple. Okay, here's where things get a little bit confusing here. They say the first Jedi Temple founded and the first Jedi Order founded and the Jedi Temple. The first Force users aren't technically Jedi. In Legends, they're what's called Jedi. And I know you're saying, Mike, that's stupid.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Okay, hear me out. The Jedi are not the Jedi. The Jedi are just Force users. Now, eventually, years and years later, they split off into the Jedi and the Sith. One goes to the dark side, one goes to the light. And that's sort of when it becomes Jedi and Sith. And that's when the Jedi Order is founded. That's when the Jedi Temple is created on Octu. But those original Force users are first on Tython. Do we follow? Yes, no, maybe so. But the movie is Dawn of the Jedi. It's not called that, though. That's its working title. It's the origins of the Force. That's what it is. Yes, the Jedi and the Sith were both together at one point. There's a split that happens. That's what's going to be really cool to see in movie form. Get a whole trilogy about this, how the Sith and the Jedi split up. That's going to be awesome. Yeah. That's Octu. Now let me look up Tython. Was Tython where the first Jedi were? Okay. There you go. So this is exactly what we're looking for. Oh, wait, in Jedi Legends, that's not what we're looking for. Hang on. That is not what we're looking for. We got canon. Hang on. Canon. All right, let's see. Let's see what we can find about this. Okay. Tython was a terrestrial planet located in the deep core, cores of Tython's system. That played a pivotal role in the history of the Jedi Order. Let's see. It was incredibly rich in the Force. Wow, the hyperspace lanes drifted away from the planet. That's crazy. That's why nobody goes there. Okay. So some Jedi scholars made the case that Tython was the site of the Jedi Order's first temple during the Galactic Civil War. That doesn't help. Let's see. Tython played a pivotal role in the history of the Jedi. The sacred texts contained a description of Tython's notable beasts. In ancient times, the Jedi built the martyrium of frozen tears. Tython was eventually abandoned because the hyperlanes. Let's see. No, I want just like location behind the scenes. Okay, let's see. In Star Wars Legends, Tython was first mentioned in 2002's Power of the Jedi source book, where it was the original homeworld of the Jedi Order, and it was the successor. In its successor organization was the Jedi Order. So this is what I was looking for. I guess it's still only Legends for now, but that's what I guess we're basing this off of. So this is what we're looking for. In 2002, Power of the Jedi source book, it said Tython was the original homeworld of the Jedi Order, which was the successor organization to the Jedi Order, if that clears things up. So the Jedi Order in the first Jedi Temple were, yes, still created on Arc 2, but years before that, the Jedi Order, the predecessor order, was created on Tython. At least that's legends for now. Now, it won't be canon until it is canon, until they make the Dawn of the Jedi movies. So that could change. That could very well change. But we'll see. We shall see. Yeah. The Sith don't appear until 100 years, until after the 100 years of darkness, 7,000 years BBY. Really? That's a long time after this. That is a long time after this. Tython is, yes, Tython is the planet where Grogu sits on the Seeing Stone. That is true. So Tython is a canon planet, but we don't know if that's where the Jedi originate from in canon. So if that didn't hurt your brain enough, let's talk about the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, shall we? So, last week, we talked about how the Mandalorian and Grogu movie has wrapped filming. Fantastic. It's going to go into post-production. Comes out on May 22nd, 2026. Yay! Woohoo! Nope! It's still filming. Again, we talked about this many times on today's live stream. Who to believe, who not to believe, what not to believe. That's why when there's a rumor, we take everything with a giant grain of salt. Until Lucasfilm announces it themselves, until Disney announces it themselves, you got to take everything with a giant grain of salt. Things change. Even sometimes when things are announced, they still change. But wrapping of the film has not happened on the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. It is still filming. Filming was quick now. Well, filming started back in early July, I think. I mean, I'm sure there'll be some callbacks, some reshoots, but for now, it still films. Let's read this. Coming from Bespin Bulletin, the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is not wrapped, and filming will continue to run until December. Last week, it was reported by Puck News that the next theatrical Star Wars release, the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, the follow-up film to the successful Disney Plus series, The Mandalorian, had wrapped filming ahead of its May 2026 release date. Now, let's not forget, this same Puck News report that The Mandalorian has wrapped filming is the same Puck News report that said Stephen Knight is no longer the writer of the Rey movie. Yeah, okay. Let's read this. The Mandalorian had wrapped filming ahead of its May 2020. Oh, I already said that. Many, myself included, shared and credited the Puck News tidbit, which was part of a report which revealed that the writer for the Daisy Ridley-led Star Wars New Jedi Order movie, working title, Stephen Knight, had exited the project, which was later confirmed by the Hollywood trades. So, yes, we think that Stephen Knight is still off the project because it was confirmed by the Hollywood trades. However, the Mandalorian and Grogu movie being finished filming was not confirmed by the Hollywood trades. So let's read this. However, since I covered that the news of the Mandalorian has wrapped, two sources reached out to offer clarification on the situation. In the process of writing this article, Latif, I think, Crowder, one of Din Djarin's stuntmen, shared a post on his Instagram story of him driving with stickers of the Mandalorian imagery in the word Bom Dia on the screen. Though Crowder didn't outright say that this was related to the work on The Mandalorian and Grogu, perhaps this was Crowder implying that The Mandalorian and Grogu is still filming and was Crowder's way of responding to the reports that the movie had wrapped filming. What I've heard from two sources is that the Mandalorian and Grogu movie could film until around December. One source outright said December, and the other one said nearly 2 months, which of course would take us to December. It was mentioned that many cast members had concluded working on the flick, and perhaps this is why they thought that filming had finished. So sometimes only, seriously, Star Wars, what's up? Sometimes only some actors need to stay the whole time. For example, Pedro Pascal's a pretty busy guy. I don't even know if he's going to be on set for this Mando movie at all, but he's working on Fantastic Four. So maybe he did come to set and then had to leave, or maybe some people finished their work early. Or maybe, just maybe, they're only keeping the important people around for the last 2 months because they want to keep some secrets. And they're filming all the secretive scenes in these next 2 months. That's a possibility. Maybe not. We'll see. But some people left the project because their work was done. They didn't have to work anymore, but there's still filming going on for the next 2 months, at least bringing us into December. There you go. Nobody had said this part to me. It's my speculation, but it's possible that on paper, principal photography, easy for me to say, say it 10 times fast, I dare you, has concluded, but filming is ongoing. Either way, the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is still filming for now. One source mentioned that the film has planned reshoots, a regular practice, and nothing for fans to be concerned with. I don't know if those reshoots are taking place during this time period that runs until December or sometime after. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Jessica, what's up? The Mandalorian and Grogu is now due to release in May of 2026, giving Lucasfilm plenty of time to shoot the flick and go back for pickups and reshoots. It was also mentioned previously that Pedro Pascal was expected to shoot some scenes on the Mandalorian and Grogu movie later this year. Pedro Pascal himself has been busy filming Fantastic Four: First Steps, which since July. And that film is expected to wrap in November or December. Pedro Pascal is also gearing up to embark on the promotional tour for Gladiator 2, which releases in theaters on November 22nd. Thank you, blah, 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 blah. So, the news story says the Mandalorian and Grogu movie has wrapped. 4 days later, that is not the case. Some people have wrapped filming on the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, but it will continue to be filming until December. Possibly filming some secret stuff, maybe not, but filming is still going on for the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Now, let's talk about timeline here, because the Mandalorian and Grogu movie comes out on May 22nd, 2026. That's about a year and 7-ish months from now. A year and 7 months. Meaning, if filming ends in December, that's, let's say, a year and 6 months. That's a year and 6 months of post-production. Obviously, you want to finish the movie before it comes out. So let's say just a year. A year of post-production and then 6 months of marketing and all that stuff. You got plenty of time. Plenty of time. And when we look at the other two movies we talked about today, the Rey movie and the Dawn of the Jedi movie, they also got plenty of time. Now, filming for either of those movies is not set yet. And let's say they go on a similar schedule as the Mandalorian and Grogu movie did this year. They're going to need to be 6 months ahead. Meaning, if Mando film started at the end of July, then Dawn of the Jedi or Rey movie film has to start 6 months or at least 6 months before then, bringing you to the beginning of the year. Meaning, filming for the Dawn of the Jedi or the Rey movie would have to start in January, February, or March to stay on schedule, or at least the same schedule that the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is on right now. Yeah. It was also said that the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is the last Din Djarin story. That report was a little misleading. We talked about this a few weeks ago. The report was that it would be the end of the Mandalorian story on Disney Plus. It was more so saying that Din would not be returning to Disney Plus for The Mandalorian Season 4. That was a very misleading article. It led a lot of fans to believe that Din Djarin was going to die in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, which he still might. He still could. He still very much could. Din Djarin dies in the first movie. It goes off to become a trilogy. He's sort of the Avengers Phil Coulson death that they need to come together. It's possible, just because Din Djarin's connected to all these characters from Luke, Ahsoka, Boba Fett, Cobb Vanth, Fennec Shand, Bo-Katan, the Mandalorians. Like, he is the tie-in to all those characters. His death would be very important. But I don't think he will die in the first one anymore, as much as it would be a crazy story, plot twist, not expected type deal. But the report was that he wasn't going back to Disney Plus. Yeah. Dave Filoni's movie is a Mandoverse movie, not a Mando movie per se. He said that somewhere. It's not that all these movies are going to be called The Mandalorian, if there is going to be a trilogy. Dave Filoni's movie could be called something else, maybe Heir to the Empire. We don't know. Yeah. I'd be down for a Mando trilogy exploring more of the Mandalorian lore and seeing the Mythosaur. The Mythosar has been set up big time. I mean, Mando season 3 specifically set it up big. Like, we saw it at the end of the series, but we didn't get to see it in action. They're definitely saving that for the big screen. I don't know if it'll be in this first movie or if they'll wait for it for the finale, like the third movie, but we'll see. Yeah. The end of The Mandalorian, not the characters. Yes, exactly. And by the way, Dawn of the Jedi trilogy is still winning this poll, which is kind of crazy to me, honestly. Chat, can we get some good cups full of orders in the chat, please? Bumpa! It's getting really close, chat. I almost forgot, but I'm remembering now. We just hit 97,000 subscribers on this channel as of yesterday or this morning. I don't even remember. We hit 97,000 subscribers today or yesterday. So we have 3,000 more until 100K, of course. The countdown continues. 3, 2, 1. That's all it takes. And then this entire cup of water or blue milk, which you guys will probably make it blue milk, will be dumped on my head. But that means for the next couple weeks, it will probably take a few weeks to get there. But for the next couple weeks, you got to keep your eye out because we're doing a emergency stream as we get close to 100K so that we don't miss it and we can catch it live. Hit that 100K, have a countdown live, and then dump this thing on my head live. So yeah, 97K. Could not thank you guys enough. We are almost there, almost to that goal. We best get there before Skeleton Crew, but we'll see. Yeah. Okay. Chibs Skywalker, what's up, says, need a Jackie Lauren trilogy. She survived? Oh, yeah, she survived that one. Somehow Jackie returns? That would be a great story. Yeah. You'll be at 100K by the end of this week? Nope. That's not going to happen. I would assume it would be in about 2 weeks. That would be my guess. 2 weeks. But we'll see. We shall see. I'm not rushing it or anything. It'll happen when it happens. Yeah. I appreciate the celebration in the chat. I do. So what'd you miss here? Jessica, quite a bit this stream, actually. We talked about a lot of stuff. You might have to watch this one on the playback. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we do have some other news to get to here, as this year is still The Phantom Menace celebrating its 25th anniversary. Give me a 1 into the chat if you went and saw The Phantom Menace in theaters this year when it was out in theaters. Yeah. Do we know? Why don't I monetize on YouTube? What do you mean? What you mean? But yeah, did you guys go see? I saw it back in May. I think May the 4th. No, I saw it on May 3rd, I think. Yeah, May 3rd. Yeah, so seeing The Phantom Menace in theaters was awesome. Being a kid who was born in 2002, I was not alive for 1999 when The Phantom Menace was released. So that was the first time I got to see Darth Maul in theaters. But we've been celebrating the 25th anniversary this year of The Phantom Menace, and we've been getting a few articles here and there and all that stuff. Star Wars Santa in the chat, what's up? But this article just came out today, I believe. Yesterday? Not today. This came out today, and it's The Phantom Menace 25th anniversary, talking about some Darth Maul stuff, Queen Amidala stuff, and working with George Lucas. So let's just take a gander at this, shall we? This is pretty cool stuff. It gives you some concept art for Darth Maul and some other things. And honestly, seeing is believing. I'll just show you. I'll show you. Okay? Let's read this. All right. The Phantom Menace 25. All right. There you go. In 1995, Star Wars The Phantom Menace was still 2 years from starting principal photography and 4 years from its release. But Lucasfilm's art department at Skywalker Ranch was well underway creating designs and concepts for the innumerable characters, locations, and vehicles in the film. This included the new villain, Darth Maul. So we'll get to this concept art in a second. But George Lucas just came up and said, Darth Maul, he's our new Sith Lord, and walked away. Recalls artist Ian. Is that an I? I'm guessing. Yeah, it has to be an I. It's capitalized. Ian. That's a weird way to spell Ian. Ian. Sure. Greg. Ian. I'm going to go with Ian. Okay. Who, by the point, had been working primarily on hero characters. I don't know if Maul was male or female or alien or anything. It freaked me out at the beginning because I didn't know, I didn't get much direction. And then I realized maybe he picked me because he liked my work and wanted me to show him what I thought Darth Maul might look like. George clearly enjoys reacting to visuals. One of his many skills is that he can look at 50 things, make choices, move things around. He takes a head from one character and puts it on the body of another one over there. And suddenly it's Star Wars. We learn to trust him and also to trust ourselves. That's pretty wild. George Lucas walks in the room and goes, we have our Sith character. His name's Darth Maul. He doesn't even say his name. He says, Darth Maul, he's our new Sith Lord. Oh, he does say he's, I guess. So, I guess. Darth Maul, Sith Lord, period. Do it. Doesn't give him anything else. And then he comes up with concept art. Obviously, this is not Darth Maul, Padme Amidala, or Jar Jar, I hope. But what's actually really interesting is you got another Gungan here who looks more like a, I don't even know. But up here, you got some weird looking badass Gungan. Can we zoom in on this image? Whoa. Look at that. That is one badass Gungan. Sith Gungan? It kind of looks like a Sith Gungan. It kind of does look like a Sith Gungan. That's pretty wild. Monetized means you got a check mark next to your name. Oh, I don't know. I don't know how YouTube does those check mark things. I have no idea. But that's a pretty badass Gungan. Okay, now let's take a look at this. This looks like he's drawing a Night Sister back in 1995, which is pretty cool. And then, of course, you can't deny the OG Darth Maul. He looks to be in almost like golden Jedi robes. Kind of. Pretty cool. Pretty dang cool. I mean, being able to draw like this must be insane. Any artists in the chat? If I were to draw a picture, it would be stick figures. Like I would, nope, wouldn't even try. Drawing is one of the coolest talents that I just don't understand. It's crazy. Okay, let's go back to this stuff. So those are a lot of the concept arts there. It says this is him at his desk at Skywalker Ranch, main house during production of Phantom Menace. Cool. He leapt briefly into a void in an attempt to find Maul's appearance. Darth Vader was the only Sith Lord he knew back then, so I assumed he would be wearing some kind of helmet. What about Palpatine? Months of trying out helmets, Darth Maul went absolutely nowhere. I'm guessing that's what it meant to say. I thought maybe he got some kind of implant circuitry. Something into the flesh, like a mask. Something like a General Grievous, possibly. Using the art department colleagues and models, he experimented with a number of designs. For previous supervisor David, I literally put a circuit board on his face. But by the time I got our production designer Gavin, it simplifies the circuitry to tattoos, probably channeling Rorschach from The Watchmen. Sure. And suddenly the design started to work. So originally it was like actual circuits and like wires coming out of his face. It was more implants in his face, and then it turned into tattoos. That's pretty cool. That's pretty wild. You guys are artists? Send some of your art to the Discord. What are you waiting for? I love some good Star Wars art. Make it Star Wars, though, please. Don't want just random art in there. Okay. Darth Maul was a vision from our worst nightmares, that's for sure. I mean, look at him. That's horrifying. Spikes coming out of his head. Still scared. Working late in the night in the studio, I had an eerie feeling I was being watched. That's very creepy. All right, let's see. He goes into more of the Maul stuff. Let's see what else they got. Oh, Mother Talzin. Okay. Ironically, he made an attempt after providing the design for the reimagined Darth Maul as a woman. He submitted a black and white faced Sith witch with a flared red costume. Lucasfilm liked the design but rejected it for Maul. Years later, he and Dave Filoni brought her to life in the Clone Wars as Mother Talzin, Darth Maul's mother. So the original design concept for a female version of Darth Maul ended up being Mother Talzin in the Clone Wars. That's pretty cool. That's pretty damn cool. He's saying he was trying to outdo Vader's helmet for Maul? Yeah, obviously that didn't work. Clearly. All right, let's see. Yeah, here's some more concept art. Whoa, what the heck? What is that? That's crazy. This is Padme Amidala. Looks like wielding the Force. The hell? Is this young Anakin? Who is this? Okay. Oh. Okay. Let's see. Doesn't tell us who these characters are. This is an early drawing of Padme. That looks very similar to Natalie Portman. That's crazy. Whoa. That's creepy. Huh. I mean, talk about being able to draw. Even drew the fight scenes? This is crazy. The pod race? It's working! Yeah, so this right here is Doug Chang. He's the man. He's sort of like the number 2 over at Lucasfilm right now. Yeah. There you go. Okay, so that's sort of just the celebrating of the 25th anniversary of The Phantom Menace a little bit with some stories from back then with Ian and Maul and Padme. That's pretty cool. Pretty dang cool. Love seeing old concept art. And how stuff gets reworked. Like he's making Mother Talzin right here, but Mother Talzin is rejected, but eventually brought back years later, over a decade later, for the Clone Wars. Pretty damn cool. Pretty dang cool. If I do say so myself. Okay. Yeah, behind the scenes stuff is so cool. I love those behind the scenes stuff and deleted scenes. I got another short coming out today of a deleted scene from Attack of the Clones about about Count Dooku, and it's just so cool. It's like, I wish all these Star Wars movies were just 4 hours long. Just keep all the deleted scenes in there because they add so much. And actually, this one I'm working on today it's about Count Dooku, and it's when Obi-Wan goes to Jocasta Nu, the librarian, and he's looking for Kamino, the lost planet. But he's looking at a statue of Dooku, and this scene is actually in the movie. He's looking at the statue of Dooku because Dooku's one of the lost Jedi who left the Jedi Order, so they make statues of all of them. He's looking at the statue of his head, and Jocasta Nu comes over and goes, "Are you looking for something, Obi-Wan?" And then proceeds to explain who Count Dooku is, why he left the Jedi Order. But that scene is cut, and it cuts to right after that scene where he asks about Kamino. And it's just such a cool backstory to what Count Dooku is and where he came from and how he is and all that stuff. I just wish they made 4 hour long Star Wars movies. Kept all the deleted stuff in it. No concept art goes to waste at Star Wars. It eventually gets used. I wouldn't say all of it eventually gets used, but yeah, the majority of it. Do you think that Skeleton Crew is going to be good? I'm hoping. I'm hoping for a trailer that's going to blow my mind in the next couple days. Still hoping. 35 days until this show comes out. The more and more news we get, the more and more excited I get. Making that video yesterday about Cal Kestis being in it, even just the writing on the wall being ancient Sith writing, a reference to the Zepho, a reference to Ahsoka, that is really, really cool. Like, that stuff is what gets me excited. So I'm really, really excited for it. Yeah. Absolutely. Amanda, what's up? Says, that's how I feel about Harry Potter. Give me the extended versions. I don't really, I've seen the Harry Potter movies, but I don't know much about that. Yeah. Absolutely. But I'm hoping Skeleton Crew, I'm hoping for the best with that movie. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, let's end this poll. I was going to say, Jessica, that doesn't really read as English. But let me end this poll. By the way, this poll actually kind of shocks me. 47% of you guys want the Dawn of the Jedi trilogy. That's the most. Mandalorian trilogy is 38% and 13% is the sequel trilogy. That doesn't surprise me much. But Dawn of the Jedi over the Mando trilogy kind of does. Interesting. Interesting. A 6-hour version with the fine is fine with me. Have an intermission. It's not a bad idea. Go stretch your legs. Go to the bathroom during intermission. All right. I am going to get on out of here. I appreciate you guys. We are at 97,000 subscribers, which is absolutely insane. But watch out for a short in about an hour at 5 o'clock, as per usual. Watch out for a video tomorrow. And yeah. Live stream Thursday. We're doing a giveaway on Thursday. It's Halloween on Thursday. So don't forget to wear your costume to the stream. I expect you all to be in costume for the stream. But until then, smash a freaking like on the stream. How many likes do we have? How many likes do we have? Am I going to be upset, chat? Am I going to be upset? I guess not. That's a lot of likes. Okay. Huge shout out to Darth Plagueis Lives for the very generous $5 holla. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Star Wars Santa says it's his 38th wedding anniversary tomorrow. Congratulations, Star Wars Santa. Holy crap, 38 years is insane. That's wild. I appreciate that's absolutely insane. That's crazy. Celebrate it. Celebrate it big time. You got married the day before Halloween. Was it a Halloween themed wedding? Let's end on that note. Let's celebrate Star Wars Santa's wedding anniversary together, chat. It's our anniversary now. Boom. Okay. I appreciate you guys. And yeah, okay. May the Force be with you. Always. Oh, yeah. What a great stream. What a great show. You guys are the absolute best. I appreciate you guys so much more than you will ever know. 97K. 3 more, chat. 3 more. We are almost there. We are on the home stretch. But until then, I hope you have a great rest of your evening. Great rest of your lives. And good night, everybody.